Hello, creative ones, and welcome to Mixed Media Art Fundamentals, brought to you by Mixed Media Art. Now, I'm Michelle Brown, and I'm so excited to be answering all the questions that I've had over the many years that I've been doing mixed media, because it really is something that can be a little bit scary when we get started. So I'm really hoping to inspire you. So subscribe to our channel so you can catch up with all of the episodes, and of course, leave your questions in the comments. Now, today's episode is all about ephemera. So what is ephemera? It's one of those words that we often hear when we're talking about art journaling and mixed media. So in our context, we consider ephemera the bits and pieces of paper and things that we gather that we use in our artwork. Now, thinking through how I was going to present this to you, I've brought them down into three categories. They're things that we found, things that we might have bought, or things that we've created for ourselves. So it could be paper, it could be cardboard, it could be memorabilia, all sorts of little things. But our intention is to have them on hand so that we can use them in our artwork. And after I've gone through those three types, I'll show you some of the uses as well. So let's pop over and run through different types of ephemera. Okay, so like I said, we want to boil it down into three different categories: ephemera that we've found or collected, ephemera that we've bought, and then ephemera that we've created for ourselves as well. So here is just a very small collection of some of the ephemera that I've gathered over the last, 10 or 12 years or so. We've got old college notes that I've torn up. This was an electric circuit book. We've got different textbooks, dictionaries. They're often our favorite pages as well. Old dictionaries, particularly foreign language ones. We might have music sheets that are no longer being used. Old recipe books. I think this might have been an old sheet from a prayer book I found somewhere. Some maps. You can see here I've torn these down. I'm still going to keep these pieces. You never know when they might come in handy. And then even envelopes, because we can certainly use those in creating books as well. And anything with a nice colour or a nice pattern on will always grab our attention. So the second sort of ephemera is stuff that we've bought. Now here is some Dina Wakley tissue that I used in one of my previous sessions. That's already printed on, ready to go. It might be a serviette or a napkin, and that is something we can glue down in the background or as a focal point in our work. Here is some more tissue paper. Now here is a piece of rice paper, which is slightly thicker than our tissue paper. But again, here are some images by Michelle Logan, so we can cut those out and stick them into our work. Or then it could also be printed papers as well. So I'm sure we've all got a collection of scrapbooking papers. Don't you remember when we all fell in love with Basic Grey with all their gorgeous papers? So they are all ready to go. And then more recently, Marked by Marlene and Dina Wakley and quite a few others have come up with collage papers. So again, pre-printed papers. These ones are quite thin, so they're really good for layering, and they can then be stamped on, or all sorts of different things can be done with them. So they're our bought papers. And then finally, we can actually create our own ephemera or collage fodder as well. So we might use gel printing to create some pages that have a pattern on it that we can use. We can create washes of paint on paper. So this is a base of something I might draw on. We can then do some doodling on top. So making sure we use a paint pen or something that's waterproof, because we want to be able to collage this and we don't want it to run. So I've got some dots here, some circles that I've stamped with a found object, some paintbrush marks. What else have I got? Oh, just all sorts of different examples. Again, a wash of paper with that stamp. Some thin paper on tissue and using paintbrushes in different ways to create thin or thick marks. Here I've done it with different marks and again with circles. So that's just so much fun to put in the background. Again, using different kinds of paintbrushes and different thicknesses on deli paper. This might have been a gel print, I think, where I've created a pattern on it. Again, a wash of paper that I've put some lines over the top of. Something else that's got some interesting texture. And then I've used some markers as well. So these are some alcohol markers on a page of copy paper. And I've done different thickness lines. So that could be teared up and created an interesting background. And here I've created a wash and again used a metallic paint to put some marks on. So just something that could give us some interest. So like I said, when we talk about uses, there's so many different uses for ephemera. Even just all the beautiful colours in itself can make a really nice and interesting collage. We've got some old golden books, some music, some different computer things, some maps, some music, dictionary pages, and I do just love how we get all these different tones, different fonts, and it really does add interest to our mixed media. And we've talked about, building those layers. So here's a piece that I've created with a Michelle Logan image on it. Here I've used some ephemera to die cut out some letters to help with my words. And then under this piece as well, you can see some of those little bits of ephemera poking through. So again, it really helps to build up those layers. And last but certainly not least, we can use our bits and pieces of ephemera for creating junk journals. So again, dictionary pages, different bits of paper, bought scrapbooking papers, just normal coloured copy paper, tissue, watercolour paper, all of those can go into creating junk journals to add different textures, different shapes, and real level of interest. So hopefully that's given you some idea about ephemera. So whether you've got found ephemera, bought ephemera, or created ephemera, they're all things that we can use in our mixed media journaling. So I hope that's answered the question for you for what is ephemera when we're talking about art journaling. So it really is all those bits and pieces that we've kept, that we found interesting. We could use them in a collage. We could use them as a focal point. There's just so many different ways of using them. Of course, we want to use a good gel medium as we're putting our layers down, and we talked about that in our glue and adhesives episode. And of course, we'll have lots more examples from you as we move through this session. So I hope you've enjoyed this Mixed Media Fundamentals episode. Pop your questions in the comments. Of course, subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and visit all of our socials to keep in touch. So this is Michelle signing off. I hope you have a crafty day.